What's up? Welcome back to Nowstalgia. Dave here with a review of Clipped, the new docudrama series on FX and Hulu. The first 2 episodes premiered, 6 episode series. This, of course, is adapting the Donald Sterling scandal regarding the Los Angeles Clippers of the NBA back in 2014. This series was created by Gina Welch. Also involved producing and writing was Rembert Brown, former Grantland writer. And it's adapting the 30 for 30 podcast from Ramona Shelburne at ESPN, The Sterling Affairs. And yeah, I think this is interesting to compare because it's easy to think of it as like a spiritual sequel of sorts to Winning Time on HBO, which was canceled last year after 2 seasons because that was adapting, of course, the other Los Angeles basketball team, the Los Angeles Lakers, back in the Showtime era. But really, Clipped is more of the traditional docudrama that we've been getting a lot lately on TV, a lot on the miniseries front, regarding just kind of adapting current events and a, big story of some kind fitting into the miniseries mold, a la The People versus OJ and all the litany of shows we've got since then. That's really what this show is. And, from what I saw through the first 2 episodes, it seems like it's a pretty solid, straightforward docudrama. It's going to go through this situation, this scandal, and we kind of know where it's going to go because it's really just history. And there's probably not going to be too much like extra flair on that. So it's kind of a low ceiling show. But when you have Lawrence Fishburne as Doc Rivers, someone who actually really looks like Doc Rivers in addition to being a great actor, when you have Ed O'Neill playing Donald Sterling, and those two guys are really going for it in their performances, I think doing a great job. Oscar winner Jackie Weaver as Donald Sterling's wife, Shelley Sterling, and a really, I think, great kind of out of nowhere like breakout performance from Cleopatra Coleman as V. Stiviano, Donald Sterling's mistress that proceeds to this whole scandal blowing up. The fact that you have these, I think, 4 really good acting performances really helps at least buoy this series a little bit above the traditional expectations we have for a show like this, even if ultimately, I think screenwriting-wise, I think just kind of narrative goal, it's really just trying to adapt recent events. And I think the fact that it's very recent events also is notable here. Like Winning Time, the Showtime Lakers, that was a while ago. Yes, there's tons of people that remember those times vividly, but there's also tons of people that don't. Clipped, though, we're talking about the Lob City era Clippers. That was only, one Clipper era ago in terms of NBA history. I mean, Doc Rivers is still an NBA basketball coach. JJ Redick is a massive NBA media member and likely the new Laker coach. Matt Barnes, another active NBA media member. We see Draymond Green opposing the Clippers in the playoffs that year. Obviously, a very prevalent person, not to mention still an active player. Like DeAndre Jordan, technically still an active player. Like this was not that long ago. So there's really not going to be, I think, anything super like eye-opening or like informative to most viewers who watch this show because I think everyone just kind of knows the story. That's not necessarily any fault of the show or even much of a demerit, but I just think, again, the ceiling of this show isn't very high just because of the familiarity of the material in addition to the fact that it's a pretty rote, basic storytelling, style that we've got a lot of lately on TV. But I do enjoy the period detail of it all. 2014, it's fun to see like 2014 era Instagram UI. For example, we remember it well. Thankfully, it seems it's not going to really have much of a focus on the basketball of it all because this show also doesn't really compare to Winning Time. Winning Time, the main character arguably is Quincy Isaiah as Magic Johnson, right? But also you had Solomon Hughes as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You had Devon Nixon as Norm Nixon's son playing Norm Nixon. All 3 of those guys were great actors, but also were great basketball athletes when you film them. And Clipped isn't really going to communicate that. Like, I guess the guy who is playing JJ Redick broadly has JJ's shooting technique, and the guy playing Blake Griffin is light skinned. Like, there's not like much to say on the basketball front. I thought it was really funny when I saw Draymond Green pop up, just because that guy is not Draymond Green at all. Like, it was so clear. They barely even show you a glimpse of Steph Curry in those scenes, just I think because they know they didn't have the goods on that front. But yeah, like they're not gonna, I think, capture the basketball the way Winning Time did, but thankfully that's not the focus. You just have to be in it for the performances, I think. Like I said, Fishburne, O'Neill in particular, really standing out. And I guess, the fact that this is going to get into heavy material, because obviously this scandal was so heinous for what Donald Sterling was revealed to have said and what kind of horrible person he was exposed to be in the most public way possible, leading to him, of course, being forced to sell the Clippers to Steve Ballmer, the current owner of the team. Even though, again, none of that's eye-opening or new and very well documented, in fact, in still recent history, it's going to cover some heavy themes, and yet Clipped also had a lot of, subtle, like, humorous, comedic moments. There is some levity on this show, so I think that mix will be welcome, and also the fact that it's only 6 episodes, only 4 more left to go, shouldn't make it too much of a watch. I'm planning to get through it and see it to the end. Enjoyed it for what it is. That being said, FX and Hulu somehow are finding a way to release Clipped week to week, just like they release Shogun week to week. It definitely benefited Shogun, obviously one of the biggest and best shows of the year, right? Why on earth can't FX and Hulu release The Bear, their biggest comedy series ever? Comedy in quotes, but why can't The Bear be released week to week? Why do we have to do a binge drop of a show people are so anticipating? Why can't we stretch that show out? If you can stretch out a show like Clipped, which has a lot less to it, why can't you stretch out The Bear? I don't understand. That being said, when The Bear comes out, I will be covering it, so make sure you subscribe, youtube.com/nostalgiapod, and let me know, what did you think of Clipped? Do you kind of agree with me that it's more of a kind of basic by-the-numbers docudrama and doesn't really have much of a high ceiling as a TV show, but also you kind of are enjoying the hang and want to see it through? Do you agree with me there? Do you think the show's better than I'm saying? Either way, let me know why, and for more TV reviews, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.